In the month of March, South Africa recognizes Human Rights Month, an acknowledgement of the rights violations of the past, as well as the struggle and sacrifices made to obtain democracy. However, Tasnim Alli, a digital audience expert, says that in recent times, a quick scan of Twitter or a look at the comments section of any news site will generally see a number of users posting disparaging insults directed at other users or practicing hate speech, all under the guise of I'm entitled to express myself. Tasnim joins us now to take this conversation further. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. I suppose it's an interesting balance that needs to be made here. Where do our own rights to freedom of expression intersect with the rights of others not to be abused or insulted online? Where does one draw the line?
Thank you for having me. The line really depends on what we are saying when we are expressing our human right of freedom of speech. When we use it positively, it can create collaboration, understanding, unity between people who have opposing opinions and healthy debate. However, when we use our opinions to dehumanize or incite harm, to be physical or even mental, that's when we start crossing that line.
So what responsibility do we have as citizens and digital users when engaging with other users online?
Yeah, it's important for us to remember that words matter. A fellow anthropologist that specializes in linguistics, Dr. Shuli, says it the best. She says that words are symbol acts, and if these words are symbol acts of violence, these ideas, when implemented, could be extremely dangerous and harmful. So we need to understand that the words we say today could be tomorrow's seeds of action. It's important that when we share our opinion that we are not degrading or dehumanizing or humiliating people, whether they be celebrities or comments on, random people's profiles. It's important for us to be responsible with what we say and the conversations that we are engaging in.
Do you think that individuals know the difference between expressing themselves and hate speech?
I think at this moment in time, no. I think it's difficult for them to distinguish between the two because the growth of the internet has happened so quickly that there hasn't really been time for us to sit back and reflect. But it has been a while now. So I think we have the ability and the tools to help us actually differentiate between the two.
And also looking at the kind of users online, there are more and more children who have access to social media. How then do parents protect them and also empower them to know the differences?
I think it's important that parents be aware of what their children are doing online. You would be able to have their passwords, see what groups they're following, which type of people that they're following, and you'll be able to see how they interact online as well. It's also an important teaching moment because if parents have that conversation with their child, they will be able to say, you know what, maybe this wasn't so good, or maybe you should phrase it like that, and it could be a learning experience. What we often do is we forget when we're commenting that whether it be a celebrity or a public figure or just a random person, that on the other side of the computer, it's a human, or the phone, there's a human being there. So having that conversation with your child and saying, like, would you like if somebody spoke to you like this face-to-face, or would you like it if somebody spoke to me like that face-to-face? Giving people real-world scenarios, creating the human in front of them would give them a better sense of what it is that they would and wouldn't say.
And how can we protect ourselves from online abuse, being the person on the other end?
I think it's very important to be engaging and be careful about the comments and profiles that you are engaging with, especially conversations that are already inflamed. Be aware of your privacy settings, who has access to your information, and also report posts or profiles that is generating hate speech or they're saying these things. Additionally, you can also block people that are, inciting harm.
And the people inciting harm, how do they become more aware of the impact of their comments, remarks to the other person? Is there a sort of checklist that one can sort of look at before posting, before going public?
Yes. If you visit the United Nations Facebook page under hate speech, they have many tools to help you decipher what you're saying and help you deal with hate speech online. It's also important for us as consumers just to take a step back sometimes and say, okay, hold on, what am I actually typing here? Would I say this to somebody if I saw them face to face? What if it was a family member? And also step away from the digital world. Sometimes we get so caught up in that world that we forget that there is a real world that's actually happening around us. And that the digital space is but one context of a very nuanced picture.
What do you believe to be the many facets of harm that the digital space can have on people, the user and the end user, especially looking at the impact of what's being posted?
Mental illness has definitely been, on the rise in South Africa. We have some of the highest numbers, according to a recent study, of mental illness. Degrading somebody online, that type of mental abuse that you experience, could really affect your mental health. It would make you depressed. It could give you, suicidal tendencies, and also remove that reality check from your life.
So what would you say, would be the perfect balance of interacting in the social digital space and really just, living a normal life outside of the influence?
Yeah, I can't exactly say that this is how much hours that you should spend online a day or this is what you should do. I think it's really about you checking in with yourself and with your family members, and especially as a parent, how much of what you are speaking about, what you are thinking about is something that happened online. How engaged are you on what is happening around you? What do you talk to your children about? I think it's important to have a balance of real world and digital world experiences. I know with my friends and with my family, we're often talking about memes we saw. Did you see this online? And it's wonderful for current news events or for things that's happening around the world that's so important, or even just, catching up with family or friends. But sometimes it's important to just put the phone down and speak to people.
If we have to look at this, the impact of hate speech on legal grounds, how much substance is there? I mean, you've advised that perhaps you could block someone, but, there are instances where people find many avenues to get to someone and harm them. What is the legal footing going forward?
Unfortunately, I'm not a legal expert, so I can't comment on that. But I would say that your best bet is to find a legal route to it and keep any evidence that you have and try to find some legal opinion on that.
Yeah, very well. Thank you so much. Thanks for your advice there. Of course, recognizing Human Rights Month and looking at the impact and the harm when it comes to disparaging insults on social media, rounding that discussion off with Tasnim Alli, a digital audience expert.